Welcome to the podcast where we speak truth, illuminate power, and fully embody who the fuck we are. This is the Light Warriors Unleashed podcast. We are all about spiritual evolution, spiritual growth, talking about the things that may be controversial, even some triggering concepts, but we are all about expansion. Come on in and join us as we reclaim and recenter ourselves in the power of who we really are. We are the Light Warriors, and welcome to the revolution. Well, here we are, guys, episode 110 of the Light Warriors Unleashed podcast. And I want to reintroduce to you Tony. Some of you may not remember her. Some of you may remember her. Some of you have no clue who she is. But Tony is my cat, and she's much more than that. She's a channeler and a healer. What other titles would you like me to say about you? She is transcendent, she says. That's what she's saying. She's literally laying on the bed as I recorded this podcast, just chilling out. This is her space right now as she's reintegrating back in, and you'll understand why as you listen to the podcast episode today. But it's not just about Tony today. It's about the pull in our intuition. It's about listening to our intuitive space. It's about really stepping up into, excuse me, these crazy, as I cough it out, the crazy hits that we get and the crazy things that can happen and the crazy things dropping into our field that lead into these beautiful expanded experiences. And it starts off sometimes as this crazy calling, but trust me, it will always, always yield a beautiful, beautiful landscape. So with no further ado, episode 110, Light Warriors Unleashed podcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And oh my God, what a whirlwind of a week it's been since the last podcast episode. It feels like I have journeyed to an opposite side of the world and back. Oh, wait, I actually have. For some of you that do not know, I traveled over to Canada over the weekend. Literally, I left Thursday morning, flew back Sunday night to go pick up my cat, Tony. Now, a lot of you have probably never heard of Tony before, but Tony's been in my life since 2010 when my girlfriend, this cat got out and got pregnant, and I was considering getting an animal. I was just moving out of the rental home that I was in, where I rented a room. And some of you may have heard the story or not. I don't even know if I've ever told it on the podcast. But when I left my narcissistic ex-boyfriend, I moved into a house and I rented a room in this house, and I stayed there for 3 years. And when I was done living in that home, getting the business up and running, finding stability, independence, I had moved from Winnipeg with my ex-boyfriend to Ontario, and I was refusing to go back to Manitoba. And I was like, no, I'm going to figure out a way to make this work. I moved into this house with these people. And it was I called them my rental parents. We had a beautiful relationship. The only reason why I have animals today was because I lived with 4 cats and a dog in their house when I was that girl that moved into their place. It was like, I don't want to have an animal because I'll get animal hair all over me. Meanwhile, on a flight yesterday on the way home, I was covered in cat hair, even though I had my roller with me, but I was like, whatever. Like, I just don't even care about that stuff any longer. And it helped when I lived in this home. And when I moved into my condo in Vaughan, I ended up getting 2 cats. Jesse James and Tony were brother and sister, and they came from my girlfriend's litter at her house, and I got them at 9 weeks old. They came and lived with me on July the 1st of that year. And I remember they were born on April the 20th. And, obviously when you used to smoke a lot of weed, 420, right? It's like, you'll never forget that date. And they came and lived with me, and we had a life. Her brother passed away in 2019. And Tony's had a couple of foster cats move through the field with her. And right before I left for Costa Rica, she said to me, I'm not coming. And we've been in life together for 12 years. And I was like, what do you mean you're not coming? And she's like, I'm not supposed to go. I won't make it, Mom. I won't make it. I'm going to go live with Jackie. And at the time she didn't know Jackie. So this is a really kind of funny story, but we were headed to the cottage that weekend with some friends. It was at the end of August, and Jackie was going to be there. So Jackie got to meet her. We did a trial run, and it all worked out that Tony was going to go live with Jackie, and I was moving to Costa Rica. And it was never supposed to be a temporary thing. It was always permanent. There was never in my mind a moment where I thought I would come back and get Tony. I thought that She made a decision, and my job was to honor her decision and to honor the energetics of it all and to step up into the space to be like, most people thought I was crazy. They're like, what do you mean your cat said that she wasn't coming? I was like, that's what she told me. She wasn't coming. And I got a message from Jackie a few weeks ago. She's like, I really feel that Tony isn't happy here. Like, I'm not spending enough time with her. We're hardly ever home. And then I find out after when I get to Ontario that they're actually moving and they don't want to take the cat because it's really hard to find a place with the cat, even though they have another cat. But she just, like, her boyfriend and stuff, doesn't really like the cat. Tony's very vocal. And you wouldn't even know that she's actually in the room with me now because she's super quiet and chilled out here right now. I think she's also still recalibrating. But anyways, I asked my animal communicator to tap into her and to do a session to find out what Tony wanted because I wanted to honor Tony. And she said she was ready. So here we are. I flew out, I got her, got all the paperwork done. I went through my own craziness while I was there, but it was such a testament and test to surrendering into the space and just allowing spirit to move with me. I saw the people that I was meant to see. Some people drove to come and meet me, and some people, stepped up into the space to support. And it just was a beautiful experience, all in all. I was tired the whole time I was there. The calibration of living in Ontario is different than it is in the jungle in all the ways. Like the weather, the climate, the energetics, what the Canadian government's doing to Canada, everything, the food quality, everything is different. And I didn't make anything up about it. I literally was just there moment to moment. I supported my structure when I could. I ate my own food on the planes, like both rides. Like I made food before we left, even that I'd picked up. And I just made a choice and a decision that I was going to support myself as best as I could in the space of what I really believe in and what I'm really energetically aligning in. And Tony did amazing. It took her about 14 hours to pee, and she finally peed right when we were landing into Costa Rica in her carrier, but I had covered it in like puppy pads. So we went to the bathroom when we got there, super easy. I cleaned her up. I cleaned out the carrier, put her back in. And she was really good up until about an hour away from home in the car ride. This is about a 17-hour travel day that we had. Like, kudos to her for being in a carrier that long. And she needed to come out, so she sat on my lap. She wanted to kind of walk around the van a bit, which I felt like she was trying to tell me that she had to go to the bathroom. And then we got home, and I brought her upstairs. She's been in my office. I've taken her out a little bit because the dogs are crazy, so I haven't integrated her there yet. She needs to calibrate in this energetic field, but she's not speaking to me as much as she normally does. She's not crying out for things. She's drinking, she's eating, she's doing her bathroom and everything. And she's literally right now, for those of you guys watching the video, let me see if I can turn it. She's literally right now on the bed in my office, like chill the fuck out. Either than the first time I came up here, she was hiding behind the bed. I had to go get her. She's come out every time I've come up. I've walked her downstairs a bit. So tonight when we go to bed, because I closed the door in my bedroom, I am going to leave the door up here open for her to maneuver through the house at night. And I want her to go find stuff. I want her to go look around. I want her to go feel in because the dogs will be in the bedroom with me. So that will be grounding in the space of it all. And I just want all of this to work, and it will. Her power and energy as a healer is imperative in this next phase of my life, apparently. And we are on a mission together to finish her life off, whatever that means, whether it's next year, 5 years, 10 years down the road. I don't know. I'm not in charge of that. I'm in charge of supporting the system and the environment and the energy for her. And I wanted to share that with you guys today because I think there's a lot of us that are not trusting the call of our intuition. And we don't believe that we will be supported in the space when we take actions and moves. We think it's too far out. We think it's all these things. And there's so much that had to come together for me to go. Like so much that had to come together for me to go to Canada. Like it probably cost me about $3,000 to go get her. That's paperwork, vet bills, flights, Airbnbs, Ubers, food, all the stuff I purchased, to bring her back inside the space of everything. Pet sitters for the animals here, and drivers to and from the airport. at least probably 3 grand, maybe even more. Like I think the flights alone were like 1400. Plus I had to upgrade. Well, I didn't have to, but it was I felt highly in tune to upgrade on the way home because I needed more room at my feet because on the way there, when I was in plus only, the guy in front of me who was really, really overweight, and not that I have a judgment about that, you do you, man, but when you recline your seat back, you were pretty much in my fucking lap. And I was like, and even the guy beside me moved to the row up so that like the middle seat, so that I could get more space because I could feel him. He was like, I'm going to move so you can get more space. And maybe I should have been the one that moved, but I didn't at the time because I was like, I didn't want to climb over top of two people. And plus I have stuff when I travel. Like my bag is plentiful full. Like I said, I brought all my own food. I've got water, I've got snacks, I've got books, I've got my computer, I've got headsets, I've got all the things, when I travel and fly. But it's like, we don't trust, and the universe supported the whole entire trip. Like random things dropped into my field. People connected into the space. People responded back. Things disassembled, things maneuvered, all this stuff happened for me to be able to go. And I just really want this episode for you to feel that you will be supported when you stop fucking doubting and you stop literally playing in fear. That you're scared to launch, you're scared to step in, you're scared to speak that truth, you're scared to do all these things, and you're like, blah, 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 I'm fucking scared, and da, 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 da. I won't be supported. How's that ever going to happen? And all the fucking mechanisms that we say to ourselves. Guys, I prove this model out every fucking day, every day. And some days I'm a little bit tired of pushing some boundaries sometimes to prove out models, to test some things out. And I'm working on my own expansion through that in the field of this awareness to change some tunes and some calibrations and stuff. The dogs are barking and I think like wrestling together. I really hope they haven't destroyed my bedroom. I didn't put them in their crate because I literally just got off of a summit interview. And sometimes when they're in their crate at night, they like wrestle and fight and they like scream and shit. And it's my life. This is my life. This is full transparency. This is my podcast that I step up in full transparency for you guys in the space of things. This is my life, and I share aspects of my life consistently all the time because of the fact that I want you to really understand and know that the spiritual journey is fucking imperfect. If I could say it, that'd be great. Is imperfect. Nothing is ever the way that it seems. Nothing is ever going to show up exactly in the way that you even call it forward. When you are doing shadow work, it's not going to be seamless. It's going to get messy and dirty and depthful and dark and all the things. And I really desire you to understand and feel into that right now, into your field. Your job is to trust and your job is to step in. And now we're in this beautiful expanded space, and it's like we're moving day by day. Tony's going to be leading the collective call tomorrow. She's got a message for them to channel in. So she'll be sitting on my desk with me and I will be interpreting her energy, which is actually going to be one of the coolest things ever because we haven't been in energetic alignment together for a while. When we were coming through Aurelia, probably the last year, she was going outside all the time, which was great for her and chasing and doing things. But there was an energetic disconnection for us. And whether what it was with the work I was doing in me and trying to fight that thing, or whether she knew she was leaving and she was going to a new space for a while. But she's come back with a message for all of us. She's come back for the next phase of our stardust journey together. She described it to the animal communicator. She says, Mommy, when our energies combine and come alive together, it's like stardust. So she said, I'm like, oh, isn't that like the beautifulest thing ever? So Tony's here and she's back. And she's back because I trusted the alignment. I trusted the calling. I trusted the space. And when I went on Saturday night to get her at Jackie's, I knew that it was actually Tony that was calling me back to her, that she said, Mom, it's time. I can't do any more work here. There isn't any more work to be done. And my mission is bigger than what's just transpiring in this world where I'm at right now. We've got work to do. And so I made it happen. And whether it was Tony that made it happen and I was the conduit, or whether it was divine that brought us back together in the space of this commitment, it doesn't matter what it is. Here's what matters is that it happened and here we are. That I stepped up, I took action, I trusted the call, I moved the energy through, I did the work, I did the things, and today I literally was KO'd all day, pretty much. I moved all my calls. I moved all my sessions. I just did this summit recording because the summit goes live next week. So it had to get done. And I had already moved it from last week, the Wednesday night before I left. And I was like, it has to get, there's no way I'm moving it. And here we are. I just recorded a meditation for the collective and I'm doing the podcast because it has to go out tonight too. And that's it. And now I'm going to go put my feet up once I'm done hitting record on this. And I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to be in bed within the next hour. Because sometimes when we do move through our intuition, we get our asses fucking handed to us too on a physical plane. It happens. Our emotions become unstable. All the shit we need to deal with comes up. But all of it is part of the process. It's part of the process of us stepping in. It's part of the process of our expansion. It's part of the process. So all I desire for you in this episode, for you to feel into your own self, to have this real talk question with yourself, to ask yourself this question. Am I really trusting? Am I really, really leading every day? Or am I letting the self-talk of the human that's been conditioned by the physical plane to lead the charge? And if you have been conditioned, which we all have, but if you're still playing in that conditioning, because the answer came up as like, you're still playing in that conditioning, it's time to make the move. It's time to drop in. It's time to hold space. It's time to make the move. You have been activated, my friend. You are being called forward. You wouldn't be able to hold this podcast in your field if you didn't, and if you weren't. Because my energy is potent. It's not mine. It's the mission I chose. I need it to be in order to do the work. So I wanted to make sure I honored the commitment I have to this podcast to jump on today, but I don't have anything else to say. Fast, in and out, potent as fuck. And sometimes that's exactly the only way that needs to transpire. I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Well, we know that you like the podcast potentially because you're still here listening to this actual audio at this moment of time. So all that we're going to ask is, can you please just help us share it out? Tag some friends, share it with a friend, help us spread the word, because each of us moving through together as we collaborate, as we move within this light warrior movement, helps each of us illuminate in lights. And we're just so grateful. I'm so grateful. The guests are always so grateful too, that you help us spread the word, that you help us really step into this space to be able to own all of our pathway. And we are just so grateful to have you here. And thank you again for listening.